Hey everybody. Alright, so let's try building this part right here, this plastic bit that goes under the chair. Um, Now, the way we're probably going to want to approach it is just building 1/4 of it. Now, this part's shorter than this part, so I think if we were to build 1/4, mirror it, mirror it this way so that we can extend this piece out a little bit and then mirroring it over. Now it does get a little bit complicated, I can see here, when it gets into this detail and through here, because it looks like there's kind of an extra ridgy bit, and it's hard to describe. It's like it's stepped here, but it goes flat here. It kind of splits into two sections here. So this one's going to be a little bit of an interesting challenge. Not too bad, I don't think. And then obviously it has this kind of dip down, right? It has this kind of dipping down type of thing going on. No, this is a different chair. Let's see, yeah, so it kind of dips down here. Now this one, it's not that strong of a step. So it follows this up, but then it dips a little bit in through here. Okay, well, we're going to figure that out. So how are we going to do this? Well, what I suggest, let me just say first, what I suggest doing is that we start with just the 1/4. I'm going to grab a plane. You know what? I'll start with I'm going to grab a cube. It's going to be easier to see what I'm doing here. Go to my front view. I'm going to take this cube. I'm going to move it up. Not scale it. Okay, but I will eventually. And I'm just going to move it over so that, this is sitting on the midpoint. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the D key, or hit the D key, the V key. Remember, V is point snap. So what this will allow me to do is snap to vertices on an object. So what I want to do is I want to now hold down the X key so that this is perfectly snapped here. And why I want to do that, so I can scale this outwards, because I want this to basically be aligned with the edge of where that's connecting, essentially. That way. And then also, if I take this and then X and snap it here, I want this cube to kind of align to the edge of it this way. So essentially I've created just a section. I've created a small 1/4 of this. So what I'm going to do next is just take this and delete everything, just so I'm left with just this one plane, basically. Now this plane, I'm going to move it up so that it corresponds to this flat part right here, so the top of this here. Alright, now what do I do? Now what do I do? Well, what I want to do next is I'm going to start with the one section, and I'm going to work out from there. Now I could do it a couple ways. What I might want to do is, I could just start with like a top of a cylinder even. I'm going to make this live. First thing I'm going to do is make this live. And then I'm going to draw in that section. So basically what we have here is we have a hole for the screw to go in. And this kind of radiates out, right? So there's a consistent thickness through half of this. So it's very kind of circular. So what I might want to do is start with like a circular shape. So let me just make sure I'm just in the right angle here. And that's this guy right here. So I'm just going to isolate this, because there's no real image for this, unfortunately. We're going to be eyeballing this. Alright. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my quad draw tool, and I'm going to create a circular shape here. So remember, this is the outer edge, so I got to make sure it kind of is around here. So let me just go in And I'm going to create the screw hole basically for this. And we do want to go as low res as we can, and usually that's just four like this, but I'm going to go 8. Because what 8 does is it gives me four divisions. I did save recently just in case there was any kind of problems. And again, it can get a little bit funky sometimes. Now, why is my quad draw not working? So let me see here. That's live. Looks like it's working, but it doesn't look like quad draw to me. Huh. Weird, huh? I'm gonna pause for 1 second. So there seems to be an issue with this piece of geometry and quad draw. So what I'm going to do is I created a new plane, just like a polyplane. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the pivot point for this, so the D key, and just snap it, if I can, snap it to the end. And then I'm going to use my V key again, so the point snap, and I'm going to snap it to that cube I created. So I can just kind of scale this down so that it meets, you know, approximately the right size. There we go. I'm going to delete the original shape that I had there. And now I can make this live. And I'm hoping that quad draw works now. And I know if it does, yeah, there we go. So it should be this dark blue with the black lines. So that's exactly what I want. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a circle. And again, that's going to be these dots here. So let's see here. I'm going to just go through and do this. That's not really a circle. You can see it's a bit weird and lopsided and stuff. So this is again where my circularize comes in handy. So now I've got a perfect circle, and this is going to be where the screw is going to go in. And then what I can do is I can just expand that out with the extrude key. All right, so I can just expand that out. So now I've got this nice circular interior. Right, if I were to delete that, this nice circular interior, and then I've got a consistent thickness all the way around that outer edge. Now I want to rotate this in the direction that this is going to be kind of moving out from, if that makes sense. So let's check the image again, right? Because let's say this is the cross section here on this diagonal. Basically I want to be able to extrude all this stuff this way. Right? Now it doesn't go very far this way because it goes across as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I feel like I'm saying what I'm going to do a lot, but this is what I'm going to do. Well, first of all, let's just move it closer to the edge because this is the bounds of the object, and rotate it just a little bit more so it's pointing inwards. And I'm going to take this edge, I'm going to extrude it. Well, you know, I feel like this isn't circular anymore, so let me just do it circularize one more time. There we go. Yeah, Alex, now it's a perfect circle. I'm going to take these two guys and I'm going to extrude them. I'm going to move them this way. Remember, scaling will scale it in on itself. I'm going to take these two guys. Let me just check this one more time here. Let me undo this last one here. So I think we will need to have one. I think we're gonna have to extrude it once first before we do that. All right, so let me just, because those other handles are a little bit longer, right? So I'm just gonna move this down this way just a bit. And these two guys are going to be flat this way. And these two guys are going to be flat this way, right? So I've got this shape going on. So now I can take these two guys and extrude them to the edge. I can take these three guys and extrude them to the edge this way. So we've got this shape. Now I gotta decide, is this too small or too large? I think it's too small. I think this needs to be scaled up just a bit. So we just gotta be careful when we scale this up. So if it goes to the edge, it's just gonna flatten out like this. So what I might have to do is just move it away slightly. And it will need to be circularized one more time. Just grabbing that. There we go. That's what I want. Ugh. Just gotta be careful with that, but you know, that's maybe okay. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add in a new edge loop. Well, you can see there's some messed up stuff going on. So this is why it's important to go to your low res occasionally. So I'm going to move this guy this way and this guy this way so that they're roughly equal. And then as I was saying, I want to throw in a bit of an edge loop in through here. Remember, we could always scale this stuff down. And same with this, we can always scale it over. And, you know, technically these guys are moved in just a bit, right? So are these. And let's, sorry, let's examine this. So it comes down and out. So this one's a lot more extreme than this one. So this one doesn't come down quite as much. So this one's the more extreme one. So I'm going to move this one in just a bit more. That's not bad. That's not bad. Now I was thinking we could insert an edge loop here if we needed to, you know, have it kind of bend in just a little bit more here. Right, so you get just a little bit more of a natural looping in. Cool. All right, and I don't want to go beyond that much at this point. So that's approximately the shape. Now, is that really the polyflow I want, though, right? I don't know. Probably not. Probably need to do something here, I think. And through here, I think we're going to have to probably do something. Because this has to go into a base here. So we're going to have to make sure we have a nice rounded loop here. We can get that with 4, right, is basically what we got here, but I might want to give it a bit more definition. So what I'm going to do is connect these guys, and then I'm going to merge that to center. All right, so it's going to give us a little bit more of the quads. So one here, one here, one here, one here. And that's going to allow us to create a nice circle. And then we just have to go in and connect these out. All right, so it's going to go up here, and then this guy is going to go over here. All right, so we've got this shape going on now. All right, so good. So far, so good. Now, if I want to kind of maybe move this nice and gently up here, well, I could just move it like that. There's this good tool that will kind of gently kind of look at the direction or look at the tangency of elements around the selection, and it'll try to fit it in. So it kind of blends it in. So that's using this guy right here. So under Edit Mesh, we've got Average Vertices. Now this is a good one to add to your shelf eventually. And once I've selected it once, I can just hit the G key. And again, that's just going to kind of blend stuff in there. And that's looking pretty good. All right, so that's not too bad. That's not too bad. So I'm going to try to get the shape, I think, at this point. I think that's what I want to do in a second. So I'm going to turn off live mode. So I just have to be careful. I'm going to hide this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mirror this over this side so I can get the longer arms for this. So to do that, we're going to use mirror, but we have to use the right axis. So what axis are we using? So it's going to be forwards. That's going to be the Z axis. We're mirror across the Z axis. There we go. And in this case, this is the positive, because I modeled on the negative side. I'm moving to the positive side. So these arms, so I want to make sure I'm grabbing at least this part right here. Make sure you're not just doing this. It's going to wonkify everything. So everything has to be perfectly planar. But I am going to use the B key, right? So the soft mod tool. So I can get a little bit more of a you know, a smooth fall off. I don't want to go past this halfway point, right? So I don't want this stuff to move like it is. And I think that's good. It's not moving yet. All right. So how far does that need to go? Well, let me go over here. Well, actually, I grabbed the wrong side. let's grab this side. And I'm going to move it up this way. Now it is a little bit higher than this side. I'm going to do that at the very end. I'm not going to do that just yet. We need to still get the shapes. So I'm going to twist this just, no, I'm just kidding, don't twist that. Alright, so how do I get this shape looking nice again? Well, what I could do is this. Let's start on the inside. Turn off this. The average vertice again. So edit mesh. Average vertice, right? So it's going to just kind of blend stuff a little bit. It's going to fit it in really nice. And I can do the same thing for these guys as well. I'm just going to just fit it in really nicely there. So if I look at that, it actually looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. It just needs to be, well, let's see. Yeah, it looks pretty good. You know, it does come down almost like a, if I were to project up, it's like a triangular shape. So it doesn't, it's a fairly straight edge from that, so I just want to make sure I'm doing the exact same thing. So a fairly straight edge. I mean, this is pretty good here. It's a little bit curved in here, so I'll just go in and move this up just a bit. Again, just straightifying it just a bit. And this one too. Whoops. I have to manually do this one. There we go. Which means this guy needs to be moved in. And we're good. All right, so far so good. Before we can do the other mirroring though, we're gonna have to get the shapes going on with this. And for that, I'm gonna stop the video and I'll record that section in a little bit.